Hey guys! Welcome back to Real Reactions. We have a brand new season. Pablo here. You may have known me from last season if you bothered to watch us. And yeah, we're back to give you some of the best reactions to television and film out there. And for our first episode of this amazing semester, we have quite a mouthful for this brand new Netflix show, which, if I can read it correctly, goes something like The Woman in the House Across the Street from the Girl in the Window. Quite a mouthful of a title, but it comes down to this. Kristen Bell plays Anna, not the one from Frozen, and she may or may not have seen a murder. However, this functional or dysfunctional alcoholic who takes a lot of pills now has to convince skeptical neighbors and even herself that what really happened did happen. Or did it? Who knows? Let's find out into this amazing discussion. Let's get some real reactions.
Hi, I'm Anna.
Hi, Anna.
The truth is that I drink a lot, and sometimes I mix it with pills. And I'm here because I woke up this morning convinced I'd witnessed a murder.
911.
Someone has been murdered.
So, real reactions, new season, some new amazing talent here with us. But let's hop right in. We were tasked with watching the first 3 episodes of a brand spanking new Netflix show, which, if I read this correctly, it reads The Woman Across the Street from the Girl in the Window. Now, before we jump right into the questions, I just want to dedicate a quick haiku that I wrote about this show, which is, question, huh? Or, huh? Whatever this show may be, I can't decipher. Thank you.
Oh.
Anyway,
It was like deep.
all haikus are designed to sound deep, and that's why I love them. Anyways, right into the questions that our amazing writers have prepared for us. Let's start off with you, Carrie. What did you like about the show so far, and do you think you'll continue watching it?
Okay, so I actually did watch the whole thing already, I'm not gonna lie. So I know who the killer is, but I'm not gonna say. But it did start off really slow, and it took me like a hot second. I would say like 1 episode to figure out that it was satire. Because the trailers definitely portrayed the show as satire, but then when I started watching it, I was like, the mood of, like, the tone of it is very dark and sad. So I was like, maybe that was not what it actually is about. But yeah, once I figured out it was satire, I feel like I enjoyed it a lot more. And after like episode 3, it started picking up, and I was like, okay, like I want to know what happened. So I finished the whole thing.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. Like, I kind of knew going into it was a satire, just because I'm familiar with some of like the people behind the scenes in their work, and I read about it like months and months ago. So I was kind of excited to watch it, but I had trouble actually telling if it was I knew it was a satire, but like it didn't really feel like it sometimes. Like, it wasn't always funny, which was kind of the problem for me. So I would try watching it as a satire and I wouldn't laugh, and then I tried watching it as a thriller, and then maybe I'd get bored in the first 2 episodes. But kind of around episode 3, things started to get interesting, so that's when things might, I might end up enjoying it then once I start getting into the world and everything, if you can call it that.
Yeah.
The girl in the window across the street next to the door cinematic
Close enough.
universe.
Getting there.
Yeah, I kind of ditto everything that everyone said so far. I also kind of had a moment in the first episode where they were saying lines, and I was like, this is really awful, without the knowledge that it was a satire, and I was very discouraged. But getting to episode 3, I'm ready to keep watching.
The first episode, very slow. I also didn't understand the second episode that much because there were some characters that were like introduced, which could have been introduced in the beginning to kind of like make it faster, but they didn't do that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And again, I'll also pretty much ditto everyone. That said, I will admit, I watched the first 2 episodes, and I was watching the 3rd one this morning, and I just don't know what happened. It just felt like such a slog at one point, personally. Like, you guys start telling me there's a cliffhanger-ish at the end of the 3rd one, and I hate myself for not watching that part, because I was just like, simply because it feels like I was getting played like a prank. by the creators being like, oh, it's gonna get good, and then it doesn't, and then it will, and then like that's why I was like, huh, because those are my two settings watching that show. Like, oh, you're doing something, but no. Based on this first 3 episodes, I know, Carrie, you technically cheated and watched the whole damn thing, and so maybe we might just skip you. I'm just kidding. But how has the mystery unfolded in terms of like, is it what you're expecting? Do you feel like this is a predictable show? And moving forwards, do you think, you can figure it out?
So I feel like parts of it are predictable, and that was the whole point, because it's a satire and it's poking fun at like the thriller trope, and like, of course she happened to be looking out the window right when this is occurring, and like, of course she's like always drunk and everyone knows, so they're like, she's an alcoholic, we won't believe her. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like the stereotypes in the show make things more predictable.
Yeah, I thought, going into it, I knew, like I said, it was a satire, so I could see the conventions kind of played out. And it kind of made it more boring for me because they used the conventions, but they didn't really do anything with them, so I knew where it was going. But once episode 3 came out, or at least once I was watching it, they started to kind of play around with a bit of the conventions there, so I kind of actually appreciate looking back them building it up, and now they're kind of breaking them down. So I don't know 100% where it could be going. I do have a theory of who the killer might be.
We'll follow up on that.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of the kind of clues and trails that she was following were a little bit blatantly obvious, and not very fun to follow along with because it was very predictable. But with the added element of the satire, I do like some of the jokes that they do make with when she discovers specific things. Like at the airport, that made me giggle a little bit when she was like, "You don't take flights to Seattle now." Even though that was, like, it's bad writing, but bad writing on purpose. So I don't know if I can rank on it for being bad because I know that it's bad to be good. So... kind of in this weird middle situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, again, same as everyone. I definitely think that it was supposed to be cheesy writing. But I feel like for me at the beginning, when there were cheesy things happening, that kind of like made me like it more. But then it just kind of got repetitive. And you really have to think of it like ironically. Like you have to go into it with that kind of mindset. Because if you go into it thinking like, oh no, but this is like a serious thing, then it's just going to be like disappointing. But knowing that it's all a spoof and like a comedy, then like you can kind of appreciate those little like cheesy details that are in the show.
Absolutely. And I gotta say, I won't say it was predictable, but I will not say it was unpredictable, simply because I was just zoned out most of the time. Like, I agree with what you said that, oh, it's bad on purpose, but bad is still bad. Like, bad writing is still bad writing. And so it just didn't really keep me engaged. Trying to include a good segue into the next question. What was your favorite scene, Carrie?
I honestly, the only thing that's coming to mind is when the first time she like goes out in the rain and she's carrying the casserole and the girl just goes down. Like, she just hits the pavement, and I love when people fall. So I thought that was funny. And then like the fact that that was a reoccurring thing, that she like can't like cross the street, was funny, but it was also interesting because she like clearly can like travel to other places. Like, she goes to the airport, she like goes to the people's houses. I'm like, so why can't you cross the street properly? I forget how they explain that.
How about you, Josh? What was your favorite scene?
My favorite probably has to be the airport scene, because that was the first time I really laughed at the show, just because Kristen Bell just going, the West Coast?
That's what you meant earlier.
I was a big fan of the scene where she was at her daughter's grave.
Very hilarious.
I know. But she was telling her daughter where she was like, I feel like I've collapsed, and then she started naming a bunch of random bridges that had collapsed, and the joke wouldn't have been funny in like if it had just been 2, but she went on to name like 7 different kinds of bridges, and I thought that was really great. So that was probably my favorite so far.
I think you guys are forgetting the most important scene, when they explain how the daughter died.
Yes.
That one was my favorite scene, because it was just so out there that like you just had to laugh. Like the fact that it was like take your daughter to work day. And of course he works at a prison. And as if like the dad would just be holding his little girl's hand while walking through the cells with like murders and stuff, and then just like accidentally locking themselves in with like a cannibal, and just like, oh no, my daughter's locked in there. And it's just like just so cheesy that like I just couldn't stop laughing because it was just so dumb.
I agree. I felt, again, that's why I feel like I was getting played. Like, I was just like, I cannot believe, like, there has to, like, she must be hallucinating. But I digress. My favorite scene was when, like, she confronts the neighbor and goes, I prayed for you. I used to feel bad for you. And I would pray for you. And she says, like, I prayed for you, like, 4 times before Kristen was like, okay, B word. And like, it was great.
And then she goes, I will never pray for you again.
That's great acting right there.
That is supreme
Oscar
acting.
worthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a TV
Every
show.
worthy.
Yeah.
For a TV show, she'll win an Oscar for it.
Yeah.
Moving on a little bit from this, of course, this show is really out there. It goes bananas left and right. So I was wondering, like, if right now, gun to your head, someone said, "Tell us where this story will go. Like, give us your top theory right now." John has a gun. He's pointing it at you. How will this end?
I don't know. For some reason, I have this theory that it's like the guy who's fixing the mailbox all the time. I loved that character just because he was just at the mailbox. Like, there's just no reason for him to always be fixing the mailbox.
Huh.
But I feel like there has to be more to him. So I feel like maybe he's the killer. Or at least there's something we don't know.
So part of me almost wants to say that she didn't die, and the end is just gonna end off with like nothing happening, and everyone's just gonna continue to think that she's crazy. But if right now, based on the set of characters that we have, I would probably go with. I would probably go with the husband, the boyfriend, which is boring. But just from what we know, detective brain mode, I'm going with the boyfriend for right now.
Fantastic.
I was gonna say the guy who fixes the mailbox too, because I feel like he's like
Buell.
Buell.
Okay, he's the murderer.
I think he's just so obvious that like it has to be him. Because also in the 3rd episode, when Kristen Bell goes to like break into the house, he just happens to have a like lock picking kit in his like toolbox. So that's suspicious.
But if my name was Buell as well, I would probably kill someone. I don't know. I think I keep saying that it's Bryce Dallas Howard. I know it's Kristen Bell, but at this point, I feel like they will sort of play like, oh my God, Bryce Dallas Howard will show up dressed up just like her. I really cannot predict what will go on here, and frankly, I kind of don't care. But I'll give it a try if you guys are also doing it, because solidarity.
Real reaction solidarity.
We are a family here at Real Reactions. But anyway, those were, unfortunately, all of the questions that our writers prepared us. So, do you guys have any lingering things they want to drop? Any truth bombs? Any questions you may have about this trailblazing show produced by Will Ferrell?
Is it really?
Yes.
Actually?
He's an executive producer, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah, the more you know.
I'm just going to say, I think you should keep watching to find out what happened, but you probably won't predict what the actual story is. And when you find out, you may be like, come on. But that's all I'm going to say.
I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little disappointed going into it, just because I didn't laugh that much. The 3rd episode did kind of leave me lingering, but I don't know if I have much desire to keep watching it, which kind of sucks because I was looking forward to watching this, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm going to keep watching. I'm excited to keep watching. I hope I'm not too miserably let down by the end. And I hope that it continues to pick up pace as it has been.
Yeah, same as everyone. I'm just excited to like kind of finish it and see where they take us on this journey. But yeah, I'm also a little bit suspicious of the daughter, but that's just me. Just me nitpicking at little characters. So we'll see what happens.
With the kid, like
Yeah.
Neil's kid.
The little girl, I don't
Do you
trust
think
her.
she did it?
I think there's something in the chocolate.
Would you believe that if she did it?
Yeah.
Well, Val hates kids.
You heard it here
Well done.
first.
You heard it here first, audience. I still haven't decided whether I'll watch it or not. I would very much just, rather play on my phone or something. But we'll see. And so, as we've made a tradition since last season, we usually rank these movies from 1 to 10 units of measurements. I took the liberty of coming up with a unit of measurement this time. You guys can say no, which is from 1 to 10 voyeuristic Kristen Bells. How many voyeuristic Kristen Bells would you give this show? Carrie?
1 to 10.
Yes.
I would
can do
give
half numbers as well.
this show 4 out of 10 voyeuristic Kristen Bells, but I still watched the whole thing.
Wonderful.
So
I will give it 5 and 5.5 actually, because Kristen Bell. So 5.5 voyeuristic Kristen Bells, just because of Kristen Bell.
I'll go. I think I would have given it a 5 out of 10 on episode 2, but I'll give it a 6
wow.
for where we got in episode 3. 6 out of 10 voyeuristic Kristen Bells.
If I remember correctly, that's higher than you ranked Venom last season.
I would watch this over Venom.
Wow.
that was a statement.
That is a statement right
Venom
there.
was
You heard it
awful.
here first.
Okay.
Wonderful.
I'm gonna give it a 4.5 voyeuristic Kristen Bells, because I still have hope to see where the rest of the season goes, but also, like I said, going into it ironically, you gotta keep a light head on it, so.
Yeah, absolutely. And I personally would give it a 3 voyeuristic Kristen Bells, but I'm gonna give it a bonus Bryce Dallas Howard lookalike point. So it's like a fake point, but it's still so either a 3 or a 4, but not a half number.
1 additional filled to the rim glass of red wine.
Yes.
Wonderful. So yeah, that was our review on a very long title of a show that has Kristen Bell in it. But regardless, thank you so much for watching this episode of Real Reactions. Again, we have a very, very fantastic season planned out ahead of us. And, well, we can't wait to take you into uncharted territory. Very horrible joke there. But regardless, as you guys may know, our reactions may be a little ridiculous, a little racy, but they're always real. Thank you for watching.